Hello, hello, brothers and sisters. Welcome to 100 Watts in a Wire. Today, we're going to be talking about projects you can do for spring in your shack, coming up next.
And now, from Grid Square Echo Mike 48, this is 100 Watts and a Wire.
Here we are. It's Christian. Hello, it's good to see you again. Let's bring in my friend Steve here. We got a little bit of a... Oh, I got to unmute him. It's good to be back here. It's kind of handy to be able to mute you.
Oh, yeah.
You
I
know.
definitely need to be muted.
Good morning, and welcome to 100 Watts in a Wire. We are going to be talking about projects you can work on in your shack today. Last week we talked about some of the things that you may want to do outside or just in general. Mm-hmm. And today we are going to talk about in the shack. And so we are on the air, and I wanted to show you, this is what I'm monitoring this morning. I don't know what the boys are talking about, or the ladies, but they were fellas talking a little earlier today. I don't know what they're talking about, but we are on the air and in the stream. And Steve's joining me. He had one of those hell nights yesterday. I think you'd call it the hell night.
Oh, it's been a crazy week, but yeah, no, it's got home 10 p.m. last night from a site that's about 3 hours each way from here. Take care of a radio site that
that was late in the evening. It was like my time. I think it was like 7 o'clock, and you're like, I'm heading out on a 3-hour tour. Like, wow, dude. Wow, 3 hours out, 3 hours back.
Yep, got the call from our knock, and I was like, oh, really? I was like, okay. Mm-hmm. Grabbed all my stuff, and off I went.
So one of the cool things I want to talk about today was a story I saw earlier in the week here, and finally, it even says it there on the headline. Long overdue. This is from Arizona Central. Finally, the Navajo Code Talkers will have a day in Arizona, and this will be on August 14th, where they'll recognize the Code Talkers. And, you know, I'm not going to rant too much, but this is one of those cases that should have been done a long time ago, and not even just in the state. This should be a national thing. And ham radio operators...
This should be a national, yeah.
Ham radio operators especially should understand the importance of the Code Talkers. And this just came out. This was a couple of days ago. I picked it up. Let's see if I can find it. There it is, March 30th. So just came out. These guys use their own language, and the Japanese could not break that code. You know, it's such a significant thing, and there's only 4 left. There are 4 Code Talkers left, and it's really difficult. I've got some friends that are associated with the Native American community. They're either people who have been entrusted or adopted. That's actually a really thing, adopted into. And then I have some Native American friends, and it's really difficult to try to speak to the remaining Code Talkers. And it's complicated. You know, it's complicated because they've given their story, you know, and they should probably be compensated for their stories. But really, there they are right there, the 4 remaining, the names you see right there. And I would do anything to speak with them. I don't know anybody in our audience that has any connections to the Navajo Nation, but these are folks that were, you know, of the original. Okay, 29. 29 have died.
Wow.
4 left. And they're Marines. The U.S. Marines helped us win the war. And finally, 2021, they get recognized on their day. So this is a ham radio adjacent, for me, it's a ham radio adjacent story and an important one. Japanese couldn't break that code, Steve. They couldn't.
Nope.
It wasn't written down. This language is not written down. It's an oral language. It's, you know,
right. And then they just kind of adapted, you know, their language to various items, like, you know, I think, and don't quote me, I think like a tank was referred to as a turtle, so they made, you know, reference the turtle in the native language as a tank.
Yeah.
So I mean, things like that, symbolism that went, that was natural to them, and it was great. No, it's long overdue. They needed recognition many years ago, and unfortunately, the 29 that have left, they're not seeing it, and I'm glad it's a start. Arizona's at least recognizing it, but it truly should be a national holiday.
Yep. Case closed. We got Uncle Steve to say should be, and there we go.
Well, I don't have any sway with Uncle Joe, so
I know, and nobody seems to do it. And it's that's one of those things that should be a no-brainer. And I'm not trying to be political, but that's one of those things. I mean, they helped us win the war, for God's sakes, using radio. And I think the amateur radio community really appreciates this when they do the Navajo Code Talker Day on the radio. Oh man, I'm coming. Like, I'm trying to get that. It's a respect thing.
Yeah. The special event. Yeah, I try to get make at least check in every year. So it's fun to work those guys, and I'm really happy to hear them on the air.
Good morning to everybody that is coming by, and good morning, or whenever you listen to the audio version of this show. Today we will be talking about some of your projects. I put the call out, Steve, on some of our social media. Sometimes I say it like that to make myself sound a little more, it doesn't work. It doesn't work. But some of the projects that we put out, see, I put it there on the Facebook page just to see what everybody was working on within the shack, so we can scroll through these. There's not a ton of them.
I like that, the single operator 2 radio setup. That's something I've always thought about for a while, that for many years, and it's like, well, how do I do that? Or, well, I could do it, but it was just like, how do I lay it out? And then getting it all laid out, that's the easy part. It's just the operating with it and spending time and working out the kinks between the ears.
Right. Yeah, if you're new, welcome here. Maybe put in the chat that you're new. The chats are going by. I can kind of see them a little bit better now than I used to. So I see there's activity, and I appreciate that. But let us know and talk to the folks there in the chat, because very friendly people. Yeah, so Trent's working on that. Ricardo, he's getting rid of his old computer, installing a new one, adding more monitors. So that's cool. So he's working on getting the monitors
cut over too. Yes. That's and getting all your data off your old computer and migrate it onto a new one. So
yeah, it's a thing.
That's another project.
I've seen these operators, pardon me, and they have these wonderful monitors. I mean, monitors are just sexy. You know what I mean? Like, think about master control in like a television station and all the monitors, or when they have like 30 cameras in a baseball game. It's just super cool, but where I'm positioned, I can't really hang anything. It would be like hanging and swinging, because the room is out actually in front of me. I'm in the corner of my shack. And we kid talking about cleaning up in the shack. I mean, that's pretty much what I need to do. I went to find a sticker today, one of the 100 watts and a wire stickers. And I don't know, I must have given it away, but it's not where it's supposed to be with the others, and some are saying, see, child, just buy it, you cheap.
It's in the shack.
It's in the shack somewhere. It's also in the shop. I'm gonna have to buy new ones. I just can't figure it out. But anyway. Well,
it's the principle of it. Yeah, you can buy new ones, but it's the principle of knowing that it is in the shack and it is hiding from you. So you just need to retrieve it and find it. But you know what will happen? Go buy some new ones, and then the other ones will show up.
Of course. I have no idea what I've done with them.
Never fails.
And I just can't find it. I thought about sticking one on my mug today, because I tried late in the day. I switch over to like a decaf, and it would be good to know. So now, technically not switching over. I can't switch over yet until I can identify what I'm drinking. So I think I just need to stay. So anywho.
Exactly. I can get my
get your mugs.
Watts and a wire mug. Get my mugs.
Get your mug.
Got it's a Mickey Mouse operation here.
It is a Mickey Mouse operation. Perfect. He's talking in code. Talking about the code talkers.
Oh, now I just need to know the Navajo language.
Jesse says he's completely redone the inside. What's becoming his ham shack. Used to be a storage shack. Now insulated, heated, and cooled with fresh drywall. Just lacking paint and flooring. Wow, that looks great. That looks cool. He's working on it, man. You got a designated room. That's cool.
Yeah, and that's another good spring project is doing your shack, redoing it. Just pull everything out and get rid of all the dust bunnies and things like that. But I want to show you a product I use a lot these days.
Here. Let me come back over to you.
So let me get into here a little bit. This is just a little roll of it right now. So, but this is Velcro. This is you can get it at Amazon. You can get them in a 75-foot roll. And what you do is you just take a pair of scissors and you cut them and you wrap them around. So you could take this and just wrap it around like the microphone here, and tie up your cables. And kind of hard to see with the black, but
no, I got you.
Right,
you can cut them to length too. Yep.
And you cut them to length, and away you go. But the nice thing about them, if you make them long, then you can like bundle all your cables together, and then when you have to move cables around, you don't you can just reuse them. It's not like you can use zip ties and things like that, but then got to cut them, and then and a lot of people don't cut zip ties right, so there'll be like a sharp edge in there. So when you reach behind your equipment, now you're going to come out with a bloody hand or
cleaning
arm.
up blood. It's it's all
exactly. Now you got a biohazard going on, but this stuff is really, really good. It works really well. We use it a lot these days. If you're doing any network cabling, this is what you use with Cat 6 cabling. So yeah, Amazon. I looked it up the other day, and it was like $21 or something like that for a 75-foot roll, and you just cut the length and away you go. So and then they have other ones that are little, they're little short 6-inch ones. You can go with that, but I like the rolls. So this is
for me. For me in the shack is a lot of cable management. I do tinkering, as much tinkering as I do with the show and whatever stream we're doing. It's kind of an ongoing process. But in the shack, it's the same way, and it makes me nuts. I'm not the kind of guy who enjoys seeing disemboweled wires and cables all over. So I'm kind of not nutty, but I like cable management, and that's kind of a thing. Once you've been pulling thing out of drawers, and where is my stupid sticker? Like, you just totally ruined. And my bench is a catch-all for granola bar wrappers. You talk about whatever kids are doing stuff. I've got stuff all over there, soldering irons. I should have taken a picture of it to show you, but that's
you
kind
don't
of.
even want to see my bench right now. It's a total disaster, and I want to rebuild it, redo the shelving. I got a Tate repeater sitting on the bench there, taking up a bunch of space, and it's like, oh god, I gotta, get this thing in service, and it's just, that's another project. I mean, we have a lot of projects, so we have the spring cleaning, and that would be a good time to clean out the shack and kind of straighten it up and vacuum the carpet if you have carpet in there, or mop the floor and get rid of the dust bunnies, and they'll go a long way with the XYL.
Let's look at a few more of these before we get to our news stories, and we can come back and talk about this today. We're not overstacked today with the show, so we can come back and do some more of these. Let's see. Jim's moving the shack. Okay, good for you. He's added a grounded
get your
110.
And then, get 220 in your shack. Even if you don't have any of the equipment right now that will require 220, but just having it there is you'll be way ahead of the game. So if you're doing electrical wiring already, you might as well just add another circuit and at least get one 220 circuit into your shack.
My sister Amanda is relocating the washer and dryer that are currently in the shack. I understand the feeling, sis. I totally understand the feeling. Sometimes during the Sunday net,
morning, Amanda,
you'll hear ding, burn. I have to say at the buzzer. The score is 88-85. It's a close one, but life is happening. Life is happening.
Oh, yeah.
Terry's got himself an onion. He's while he's listening to the radio. Okay. Let's see. Worked on cleaning the shack. Want to revisit a window pass through. Those are interesting. We should build one of those, Steve. They're so easy to do. We could do a pass through build. Put it on the bench.
Oh yeah.
So many things.
Yeah. Solar
power shack. Kelly's a big. He likes to do a lot of the off-grid type of preparations, type of things. Mark, my brother in Maryland. Let's see. Yeah, it is cold.
It's in the 30s. Cold. Oh, yeah. It's going to be, Hawaiian shirt day, there in Maryland.
You're amping up for your trip this time.
Yeah.
Scott's taking a beginner class of CW Ops Academy. Good for him. Nothing but good reports on that program.
access panel for cables into the new shack. That's always good.
I think we
Get
need
all
to
your
build
grounding
one of those.
outside. But I like the pass through. Rex is working on the APRS Digipeater. So,
and lots of good stuff. David, listening to the big guns working DX, flushing the system and replacing AC compressor. SDR
There you go.
transceiver is Dudley. Thank you, Dudley. Here's Matt, just finished restoring a Valiant. They're so beautiful. Look at that.
Nice.
Oh, they're so beautiful.
Good job, Matt. Beautiful.
That's awesome.
Way to go.
Organizing cable
Organizing
management.
some of the
That's what we're talking about.
millions of wires. Exactly. That's it. And if you can, try to label them. They'll save you a lot of time down the road.
Especially when you disconnect them. Who goes where and what with what. I try to do color coordination with my amp.
Color coding is really big on like your coax cables. Is having a color code scheme. You know, you can go down to the big box hardware stores or even your local and find these just these color tapes. They're like, you know, just vinyl tape, and then and just get different colors. And when you run out of the single colors, then you double stack them. So you can have like blue orange and then blue green and then orange red or white yellow. So you can kind of mix it up a little bit if you have that many cables. But so I have my cables from the tower coming into the to the access box or the entrance box to the shack, and I just have, you know, a piece of color tape on it, and it just kind of lets me know. And then the corresponding jumper that goes into the shack, I have the same, you know, same color. So it's what I do when we get lightning around here is I just go outside and I start disconnecting the jumper cables. That's how I isolate. And then when the storm has passed, then I just go back out there and it's like, well, which cable was what? Color code it. Boom, boom, boom. You're done and back in business. So simple little things. Yeah, it takes a little bit of time up front, but in the long run, it saves you a lot of time.
Yeah, for sure. And frustration, too. I mean, there's something to be said about being completely confused. And when you confuse yourself, I do this. I don't know if you guys all do this, but I confuse myself. And when I do, it's super dramatic. I don't like anyone. I hate myself. I want to just quit the, you know, like, it really does help to get things squared away. But, you know, there's some days where it's raining and you're back there and you're just holding the, what is this one? I don't know. Better text Steve. I don't know what I'm
Where does this
doing.
go?
Oh, how are you? Back. You know, all that sort of stuff.
I'm pissed off. I did
Again.
this.
Again. All right, we're gonna send Steve-O to the chat for a little bit. We're gonna come back and talk to some news. So we'll come back with my brother and sister from Amateur Radio Newsline right after this. The ICOM 705 is your perfect QRP companion, as you have base station features and functionality at the tip of your fingers. But it's in a portable package covering HF 6 meters, 2 meters, and 70 centimeters. This compact rig weighs in at 1 kilo or just over 2 pounds, with RF direct sampling for most of the HF band and IF sampling for frequencies above 25 megahertz. It's got that large 4.3-inch color touchscreen with live band scope and waterfall. And the perfect accessory for the IC705 is the optional backpack. It's the LC192. It has a special compartment for the IC705 and room for accessories for soda activations or just a day in the park. Visit icomamerica.com/amateur for more information on all ICOM radios. Scenario if we wanted to hear them. We got a problem. Let me come back. What happened? I got a problem. I'm gonna have to bring old Stevie back in here because I got you guys set up, and then it's not right. Oh no. Are you live? I got to fix my friends. I got a problem down
Oh
there.
yeah, fix your friends. I was just getting ready to.
You read the you read the chat to us and tell us what's going on.
I was about to talk to Pastor Joe. He lost his laptop and it died, so he needs to reload it and put all his programming in. It was like, well, Pastor Joe, if you don't put those Red Sox stickers on your laptops, they'll last longer.
Well, what also happened is, let's see if it's just not taken with my friends here. This is not good. I got a weird look going on with my friends. This is not a good thing. I don't know. Where are you? You guys don't worry. I'll figure this out. But
He'll fix
why?
you.
I'm trying to fix them. I don't know why we can't get that going right. That's all right.
It was
All right. Well, tell me more about the thing here. And I'm just wondering. Oh, we got green. We got the green screen. The green. I see everybody, right? It's just not taking it. I don't want to put them out there like that. Anyway, tell me about the chat. What's going on over there?
Oh, everyone's talking about doing their. Let's see. So we got the code talkers, and then Pastor Joe has to change laptops. So it looks like we got some computer work going on. And then, earlier I saw a message in the laptop about replacement of an element, a radial element on a 6-meter antenna. If you can use copper pipe, and yes, you can use copper pipe or any aluminum or copper wire, thick wire would be good. So, yeah, John, you can go ahead and use a piece of copper pipe if you got it there for a radial on a 6-meter antenna. So, and then let's see what else we have going. And those NICs, and someone's doing their. It's like, well, the Sox are going into the O's on the opening day.
Mm-hmm.
Oh well, hopefully the O's will take care of business.
So the really bizarre thing, and I have to ask Karen and Paul, if we want to do this. It's the weirdest thing. I've got you all set up, but your backdrop's not holding for me today for some reason, and I can see that it's there. This is just live. This is how it goes. But I don't want to put my friends out there in a weird way that makes them feel uncomfortable. So we gotta.
So we have an interesting question. That's
yes.
You ever hear about 40 meters triggering FT8 on 40 meters triggering garage door openers? And yeah, Ian responded, yes. There's a lot of stuff that 40. For some reason, 40 likes to get into a lot of equipment, but.
I got Paul. Paul's there. Where's my girl? He's not there. I'm getting mad at this. But I got Paul. We got Paul. Look at him looking at his watch. I pay him so much money that.
Wow. You know, Paul, that's tacky.
I don't pay him at all. He's like, no, that's not what I'm doing here. I want to just get Karen sorted out. I'm just confused.
So,
there we go. I think.
But yeah, the way to eliminate some of that,
gotcha. Hold on one second.
Go back. There, Don Z is maybe put some ferrites on the leads that are coming from your button on the side where you open it up, and then and I would start with there because that was where it's probably coming in. So put a ferrite bead up at the garage door opener, wrap the wires couple of wraps around a ferrite bead. But
you're working. Everybody's working. We're just talking. I got Paul. For some reason, so, I cannot get Karen's screen to work with me. I know why. Hold on. She's going to hate me. I'm going to be in so much trouble.
Just for everyone to know, as we're kind of talking over each other, we're using new software, so it's kind of the growing pains. So we appreciate everyone's patience on this. And
she looks great. Hey. If we could just get that to take. Just do that for me.
And I was not checking my watch. I got a text from Karen. I was looking at that.
She's like, the hell with this show. We're out. We're out of here.
Well, that was more or less the gist of it.
I know it. She's laughing.
I don't need this amateur hour. Let's just go.
I know. It's like, why are we doing this again? Why?
Yeah.
But I got you all right. You're going to have to do it all because I can't get her sorted out. I got a weird thing going on.
It needs to be the other way around.
She can fly with the green screen, I'm thinking. She's a trooper.
So? You think so? Okay. Well, if you say
it's all about the content.
If you say so. Now you're both under it. See,
we're both that way.
This is ridiculous.
It's solidarity as a team. Let's just do it.
Let's just do it. This is my fault. I've got a weird painting behind my friends there. But anyway, thanks for enduring that. That was kind of traumatic for me. I don't do live like this. This is
Christian, it's called green screen because it's not ripe yet. That's why.
I see. Yeah, something.
That's all. It's just
weird.
not ripe yet. That's all.
I promise I will work on it. We got it yesterday, which is the weirdest thing in the land. But anyway, so while the people are waiting, look at this. Look, I can just do this now while you're here. Let me just go ahead and
magical.
Fix it. I just needed that extra attention. It's something my mother.
More whiskey in your coffee. There you go.
There you go.
All right. Look at this.
Are we good or what?
This is the portion of the program where I invite my friends to join me. We're just going to start over like it never, ever happened. Yeah. Karen is here. Paul is here from Amateur Radio Newsline. And this is the part of the show where we pick two stories. One of the stories you may have heard about. Another, perhaps you should have heard about, or we feel that you might enjoy listening to. And I can tell from Karen, who always uses the green screen to give a hint of what she might want to be talking about. What do you got going on where you are today, Karen?
Oh, this is my favorite. I'm first going to show my mug. Everybody's been showing their mug this morning. Okay. Last Man Standing. We wrapped up our activation. Believe it or not, close to 88,000. Close to 88,000 contacts. Even within minutes of coming on the air here, I was texting with NO2C, our fearless leader, Lou. Mm-hmm. And I said, Lou, are we at 88,000 yet? Can I say 88,000? He says, well, not yet, but we're close. Remarkable. This was an incredible week for everyone who activated as this show went into its final week of production. John was there, Lou, Sally, Paul. I think you were in there somewhere, weren't you, Paul?
Mm-hmm. I was.
What we found is that we not only are so grateful for this show putting amateur radio in such a good light during its long, successful run, but all of us really enjoyed doing the event. We're still in the chat room. Mm-hmm. We set up, Lou set up a chat room for us, and everybody is still in touch with one another as if the event is still going on. We've got a pile up in the chat room now that we're working. It's remarkable. We want to do more special events now. I think Last Man Standing has created a monster. We're going to take over the bands calling QRZ night and day. We are addicted to this. Yes, 88,000. It will probably exceed that once all the logs are tallied. That is big news. That says a lot about the power of amateur radio. It says a lot about the power of friendships that can be made when you take hams from Canada and the U.S. and make them a team. Make them a team working toward a common goal.
Wasn't there like 80 operators scheduled to run?
I think there were more than... No, I think there were about that. I think there were maybe even more.
Well, it's such a significant... and I've talked to John on the show, and, you know, it's interesting how just a little bit of amateur radio can go such a long way. I mean, I think he was a little surprised, too, by the fact that you could just put it in there and a hint of it, just a nod, a tip of the hat to amateur radio. And there were some spots throughout that series where, you know, he was on the radio, in the radio room, that sort of deal. But it wasn't so over-the-top ham radio, but just a little bit. You want to talk to the effects of what a show like this could do to our community and how this event sort of coalesced and pulled us all together?
Well, it shows, first of all, what John's goal was in producing the show. It showed amateur radio accurately. Mm-hmm. that was his goal, and he said it many times. He wanted it to be shown accurately, properly, and with the respect it deserves, and it certainly got that. What it also shows is that families do stay together, even when one member or two happen to be hams, that it does become integrated into family life. It becomes part of family life. It doesn't mean necessarily you're going to be in the shack with the door closed all the time, but we won't go there. Some of us do get a little obsessive. But it does show the world that this hobby has not gone away, that it's taken on extra significance, especially certainly in the last year, I think, and that was an unintended consequence. It will have a lasting impact, I think, going forward, too, on how amateur radio is portrayed in all media. Movies, TV, anything else. You can't go back now that you've achieved this standard. I think John set the bar pretty high.
Paul, what do you think?
I totally agree with that. The last thing that she was speaking with is that quite often in media, ham radio is used as a joke. It's it's the subject of a joke. It's showing just like really nerdy, stuck in the basement, not normal people. And this showed that the guy was a successful businessman, just a regular guy operating and talking to other people. And I think it showed that, if those of us who are here know that there are some of the people on that end of the spectrum, but there's also rock stars and successful CEOs and monarchs of countries who are ham radio operators. So it covers all walks of life and all social levels, and I think that really shows. And the one thing that I was amazed at working as one of the /9 stations was just how polite people were working us. I've heard enough, when I tried in vain to work like Navassa and Pitcairn Island, where I know there was no chance anybody was going to hear me. I'm just sitting back and listening to the really obnoxiously rude people working those pileups. And I was amazed at how polite everybody was as I was trying to pull people out of the noise. And people would wait, and I've actually had a few where I made a contact with them, and then I tried, because I'm always the little guy on the bottom of the pileup. So I'm aware of that, and I listened for some of those little guys, and I tried pulling them out. And I had a number of guys saying, "Hey, I can hear him, let me relay." So another ham who was in the pileup stood back for a second and said, "Let me help that guy get a contact, and then we can do this." And that just blew my mind at how, I heard some people that weren't, but for the most part, everybody that I worked was very polite and very cooperative and just happy to be here and happy to work us. And that was really an amazing experience.
Final thoughts on anything on that end, Karen?
Absolutely. I not only was an activator, I also was a chaser. Mm-hmm. I didn't get a clean sweep, and I don't care. I feel like I won the big prize just by being a part of this. And I found that even in being a chaser, having the advantage of being a YL, I could be heard a little better than the OMs, because the voice is different with a YL. I think most YLs will tell you that. And once or twice you would hear, "Hey, there's a YL in there. Can you get the YL?" or "Let me get the YL." I open the door for the lady. I'll walk through. I have no problem with that. So again, what Paul says I want to underscore, people were great. People were great. I would do this again tomorrow. There were people who took days off from work to do this. It is just such an uplifting feeling. So well done, everyone. 88,000, we hope, and going strong.
Paul, what do we have for story number 2?
Well, I've in the past talked about the new expedition to Mars, and we talked about the Ingenuity helicopter drone, and that's getting ready to fly, I think, in about a week. This story just came up this week. Behind me is a picture of the original Wright Flyer on its first flight at Kitty Hawk. And why that ties in is because the Carillon Historical Park in Dayton, Ohio, cut a little like postage stamp sized piece of the fabric from one of the wings of the original Wright Flyer, and they sent it to NASA, and that was installed. It's inside the Ingenuity, so that flew all the way to Mars. And sometime after the 8th, when that little puppy takes off and flies, and a piece of the original airplane is going to go flying on Mars. And I just think that is so freaking cool. That's just a heartwarming thing. And the descendants of Wilbur and Orville gave their blessing to it and said, yeah, please, let's do this. And so the first flight was less than the wingspan of a 747, but this little piece made a flight of 300 million miles.
That's funny. What do you think, Karen?
What I love about this is it shows continuity and respect for history. Who would have thought back in the day when those two brothers were testing flight that this could happen? It gives you chills. It really does. I love the story. No, there wasn't ham radio involved in the first flight, but certainly radio communications are involved in what's going on Mars. And I love the fact that there's such a respect for everything that went before, and that's what this is to me. It was a great gesture.
And it shows that, in 118 years, we went from just a short hop out on the field there at Kitty Hawk to Mars.
That's one small step. Oh wait, no, that's
no, that's already been used.
That's a difference. Yeah. Mm.
Yeah, that's great. Well, thank you for that. I appreciate your patience. We knew some wacky switching would be happening on the thing, but I kind of like moving it around. It's like the cup. What is it? The cup thing? Where you where's
shell
Paul?
game.
The shell game. Yeah, that's. I'm in a human shell game with Where's Paul? Oh, there he is. But thank you for your patience, guys. I appreciate it, and your contribution to working. Did you have any personal goals for Last Man Standing, or it was kind of get on when you could get on type of deal, or did you have anything?
For me, it was just get on as much as I could. The bands up here in the Chicago area were not friendly very much during the day, and a couple of evenings were pretty shot. So at that point, I would get on All-Star on my local repeater on 2 meters, and I had people dial up our node, and I worked them that way. So, and I was lucky, and thanks to an assist on a relay from Karen, I did manage to get a clean sweep. So that wasn't a goal. I was just working some stations in my off time, and then I started putting them on the sheet, and I realized I'm only like 4 away from a clean sweep. Maybe I'll do this. So, but big props to Karen for that relay to get me to the station on the stage.
Anytime.
And I heard
that was my.
I heard you on 80 meters, Karen. You were running on 80 meters, and it was one of the early days. I don't know if you were on Tuesday night when things kicked off, but when I was actually plugged in, I remember hearing you. You were faint in there, but I'm like, listen to her going at it. And the pileups were pretty crazy. Did you have personal goals?
I did. My personal goals had less to do with me because I knew the likelihood of a clean sweep might not happen. My goal was to have as much fun as I could in the limited time that I had to get on the air, because it was a busy week for me. But my goal was to get as many people into the log as I could and to try very, very hard to hear people. Sometimes ham radio can be like a hearing test. Mm-hmm. Is that Zed? Is that Zed? Is that Tango? Is that Tango? Raise your right hand if you hear. It's like a hearing test. But my goal was to help people get in the log and accomplish what they wanted to do. So I did spend more time activating than chasing, and I'm very, very happy with the way things worked out.
Well done for everybody in that event. Awesome. Thank you for joining us. And if you have a comment, please put it in the comments below, and we will address it if you want to talk about this even further. Thank you to my brother and sister for very patient people. Amateur radio operators are very patient people, I think. I appreciate you guys. We'll see you again real soon. Thanks for coming in.
Take care.
You're welcome. 73.
Main Trading Company is your one-stop ham radio shop in Paris, Texas. Find us on the web at mtcradio.com. We've been in business for 12 years. We take trades and love to help fellow hams trade up to a newer rig. Watch our used gear page on the web for great deals on older and even like-new equipment. Main Trading is a mom-and-pop business owned by Richard and Christine Lenore. We hope you'll hop on the web and give us a try, or give us a call at 903-737-0773. We're here hoping to earn your business with good old-fashioned friendly service. If you're in Northeast Texas, stop in and see us at 2707 Lamar Avenue. Main Trading Company, Surplus Electronics, and Ham Radio. All right. Good deal there. Good deal. Oh, we're getting a call. Let's see if we got you here. We got everybody back at least. Hello, Steve. How are things?
Oh, things are good. Yeah, we're got a shortage of frequency grease, but due to the pandemic.
Of frequency grease.
Grease.
Yeah.
Yes.
I'm going to talk to Paul here. Sorry, go ahead.
So, yeah, just hang tight, guys. The shortage will be over. Hopefully soon.
I'm going to talk to Paul.
Well, now that we got the Suez Canal reopened, now
they
we
lubed it up and got that thing turned around. That's good.
Yeah. That's probably where all the frequency grease went.
Yeah, that's good. I'm trying to make contact here with Paul. We can do this. Hopefully, Paul, if you're listening, you got headphones in, so we don't hear comeback audio. Let's give it a shot here. There's a good ham radio story. You know I love these ham radio stories. So what I'd like to do, let me see. I'll bring him up here and put him into the show here. See, I hear a little audio coming back. If you got your YouTube open, let's mute that. That'll help us.
All right. How's that?
That's better.
Okay, good. Yeah, I was having problems connecting with the video. For some reason, it just finally popped up on time.
Yeah, it popped up because I made it pop up, Paul. You were just kind of you were calling, and you were there, but I just hadn't brought you in. I still have a little echo on you.
I won't show you all the sores that I have ripping my hair out because I thought it was a problem on my end.
Yeah, I probably should have mentioned that. I'll bring you in. I got just a little bit of a loop coming back. Do you have another speaker open or anything like that?
Not that I know of. Hang on.
It's not too bad at all. It's just I can hear it coming back. It's usually a speaker somewhere, maybe on a computer.
Yeah, I'm coming through the computer.
Okay. All right. Just saying hello to everybody in the chat because I don't get to see everybody when the show comes on. This one I had pretty well mapped out, I thought. And then it was like, nope. Marbles were going. I was trying to gather the marbles up. I'm going to get a salty letter from Karen. She's going to be like, if you ever do that to me again, I am the editor of Amateur Radio Newsline. Pencils, I'll hear pencils snapping. Like, oh no.
Well, remember, the software is playing a practical joke on you because it is, a couple days past April Fool's Day.
So, it's just one of those things. When you go to expand your options and want to grow, there's a bigger learning curve, but that's okay. Mm-hmm. So, Paul, what's going on with you, man? You've got a story to share, and we're interested.
Oh yeah,
in your...
I believe my dad is also watching the show. I tried to get him into the chat earlier. It says I don't know if you'll see him in the chat room or not. I know he tried to. Hello.
Hey, you're there.
We got you.
Did I lose you?
No.
Okay, great.
No, you're here.
Yeah. Yeah, my dad was in the chat too. I thought he could probably join in. My wife had to leave abruptly. She had her sister waiting for her. Today is her day. Today is her day to spend with her sister. So I try not to. I try not to. Screw around with that too much because he likes to spend a lot of time with her sister. She doesn't spend a lot of time with her. It's her older sister. So I let them have their time, and she apologizes.
No worries. But you've got a family of hams, right? Talk about your family of hams.
Well, my dad started it all. He, like I say, he was licensed back in the early '60s, back before I was born, And so I always had some type of radio, in the house at some point in time. We went to the ham phase, and we went through a CB phase for a while. Everybody in the family had CBs, and then when he moved to Florida, he first moved to Florida 15 years ago, he went back active again, and got his license, and really got into a really great club down in Florida, and then we just went down to visit. He says, you ought to get into ham radio. We got some really great people down here. It's a great hobby, and I think you'd really enjoy it. And I always liked playing with the radio, because we had growing up, we hung around with people that had had ham radios and licenses, and I would always go down there and play around with the radio and see what stations I could pick up, and that was when I was real little. So I always grew up with it and had it. So I says, why not? Says I was getting a little older, I needed another challenging hobby that I needed to fill my brain up with, and not my driveway. But so I secretly started studying. And then after about a year, I thought, well, I think I'm ready to get my test. And I just did this out of the book and online courses with different channels on YouTube. And then I was getting ready to take my license test. And once I took my test, once I was getting ready to take my test, I can't remember what. We were supposed to go down to a local ham fest down in the lower part of the state, and we got a late start. And by the time we got down there, the two of the VEs that were down there giving the test left. So I was basically screwed. So that kind of blew my whole day. And then the next day, I talked to my dad. I says, "Well," says, "I was going to surprise you with my license test, and because I was going to take it yesterday." He says, "Well, I didn't even know you were studying." I said, "Yeah, I was going to do it, do it and surprise you." He says, "Well, that is a surprise." He says, "Well, why don't you take it right up there at home?" I said, "Well, I didn't know, who to contact up there." He says, "Well, your mother is good friends with the VEC up there in your hometown, and the local amateur radio club." Says, "Well, I'll just give her a call and set you up with an appointment." And within 2 days, she gave me a call, and we set up the appointment, and I had I took my test at the Fulton Amateur Radio Club that next week.
Nice.
So then we really I got involved in the club, really hot and heavy. I am now the vice president of the club.
Wow.
And we really enjoy field day. That was the eye opener for my wife. And like I say, I apologize that she's not here, but when she got involved, I think it was the second year that I was involved in field days, and she heard that we serve food there. And my wife is an excellent cook. She is an excellent cook. So she says, "Well, I'll come up and do the cooking for you if you want."
Perfect.
I said, "Well, sure." Says we're always looking for volunteers, and she came up, and I picked her up that one morning, and early in the morning we went back out, and she met everybody, and I showed her where the grill was and all the food, and she just went right to work. And I tell you, everybody absolutely fell in love with her, and fell in love with the food. And she got a lot of compliments. And then our Racey's radio officer, Fred, KA2HPG, got it in her head. She says, "Well, you should get your ham radio license." And she says, "Well, I don't know about that, because I'm not very smart, and this isn't my, he says, "Well, you ought to do it." Says, "We need to get more people like you, and more YLs, into the club and into the hobby. And plus, we could use another XYL as a net control officer on daily net at night.
No,
I said,
really,
well-
they just wanted another cook.
They just wanted another cook, yeah. So, but so after a couple of months of prodding her, because she would also go to our monthly meetings, to join in to
that's
see
great.
what was going on. Of course, I probably dragged her to those, but she had a good time. And so when she finally decided to take the classes at our at our radio club, and passed the test with flying colors, and of course she was really nervous with that too, but she passed it with flying colors. And then I actually mentioned to her, I says, well, how about now that you have your license, how about taking my dad's old or original call sign, which was WA2FIZ? And she says, yeah, that'd be a great idea, because I wanted to do it myself, but my son, after I got my ticket, my son made me a nice plaque with my call sign on it, so I didn't have the heart to change it after that. So I said, well, says, we got another chance to do it, so why don't we so if you want to do it, says, we'll let that go. And so she said, yeah, that's great. So as soon as she got her ticket, I got into the FCC database to see if my dad's call sign was still available, and luckily it was. And within a month, it was transferred over to her.
Wow.
Perfect.
Cool.
So now we're one big happy ham family.
Do you have to have separate shacks?
No. She really doesn't get on the radio. So I thought she would, but she told me she doesn't get on the radio because she told me that I yelled at her one time for saying 10-4. But I don't remember that was me.
Well, I just want to let you know, Paul, that I think that you do need 2 shacks if you smell what I'm cooking, or if you smell what Julie is cooking. Am I right, Steve? I mean, he doesn't need just 1 shack. I mean, come on.
No, you're going to need.
You're gonna
If I had the room for 2, believe me, there'd be 2 in here.
Steve, put a hole in the wall, Paul.
I'm stuck in a small corner in my bedroom. That's where my this is my area right here. So, but I've told her many times. I said, you can come up and use the radio anytime that you want. It says I got a 2-meter radio up here, and that I took out of the car. I brought it in here. It's a Yaesu Fusion radio. That if she wanted to get on System Fusion or Wires X and talk to people around the world, she can do that with just her license. She did take her general course, but she didn't complete it because something came up and we had to leave, and she didn't get to take her test in time. So, but she is going to be. I think I'm going to prod her a little bit more, and once we get club meetings back, and I'll have the rest of the club to help me, push her along.
Well, you tell Miss Julia
the
that
gentle shoves.
you tell her we said hello, and that you need to get her own shack, because apparently you're over her shoulder a little too much and telling her what to do. We're gonna have to come in there and sort you out a little bit.
Her space.
She
needs
is
her
here
HX
at night.
station.
Oh, well, she is here at night, all by herself, because I work nights, and she's got the whole shack to herself.
I see.
So she doesn't have to push me away. So she works days, I work nights. So I do my radio play during the day while she's at work, and she does whatever she does here at night, all by herself and with the dog. So, but I have opened it up to her. I told her, says you can open this, you can play with it all you want. Says it's a good radio, so you're not going to screw it up. But even if you do screw it up, I'll just do a reboot and bring it all back to factory specs and start it all over again. So it doesn't matter. I've got time.
You're supporting her. I understand.
I'm supporting her very much.
Well, thanks for stopping by, man. And best to your family there, the family of Hams. I appreciate all that. That's such a cool thing when you can share those stories.
Yeah. Well, I have a lot of appreciation for all the people that brought me to where I am today. The Fulton Amateur Radio Club, the Citrus County, Florida Amateur Radio Club. They helped me get my general license because I just got done with my general class. Was going to take the test next week, and then we had an emergency down. One of my parents had an emergency down in Florida, so we had to go down there unexpectedly. And then we had breakfast that following morning when we got down there Saturday morning, and my father's club down there, they have a breakfast meeting every Saturday morning at one of the local restaurants. So I got to meet a lot of the members down there of his radio club. And and one of the gentlemen that was there says, "Well, my wife that's sitting right behind me, she's the VEC for our club. So if you want, says you can take your test down here." I says, "Well, yeah, I could probably do that." So when's your next meeting? He says, "Monday." Says be here Monday, and you can be here Monday before the meeting, and you can take your test. Oh, that's fantastic! So we went down, crashed their meeting down there, and took their test and passed it. So
Excellent.
I got my general in another state, and I got to use my dad's shack to make my first HF contact. So it was pretty exciting. So I got a lot. I'm very appreciative to my dad for helping me and getting me into this and helping me with getting both of my tests in. But it's great, and I owe a lot to him.
Well, the next big question is when you're going to take your extra?
I have the book for it, but I think I'm going to have to get a study buddy for that, because there's a lot of electrical theory and things like that I it's still way over my head. I even bought a book of beginning of electronics, because just to get some of the theory on some of the parts and things like that, values, just to get an idea.
Well, look, if I can do it, you can do it. If I can do it, you can do it. That's all you need to know. Get that book. Yeah. Dig in when you can.
Practice.
Right on. All right, brother. Thanks, Paul. Gotta head out, but thank you for sharing your story, man. Appreciate you.
Okay, thanks, Christian. Thanks for putting me on.
No worries, man.
Yep. And we'll see you later.
All right.
Bye-bye.
7-3. Let's take a minute to talk about what I feel is the most beneficial deal in ham radio today. It's when you become a sustaining member of 100 Watts and a Wire. Here's how it works. When you donate $25 or more, you will become a sustaining member for a year. And during that year, you get discounts from participating businesses. It's a win-win-win. The show gets your support, you get the discounts, a little more money in your pocket for your next project, and those businesses can earn your trust. Visit 100wattsandawire.com, click the Sustaining Membership tab to learn how you can support the content you enjoy. And thanks. Okie dokie. Welcome back here. Steve-O and myself are here. There were some other things that were happening I wanted to share. Let's see if I can do this. Projects that are happening in the shack that we didn't get to. There's not a ton left to, but I wanted to just make notes of them. Okay, 6-meter SDR transceiver. That's good. Randy, not a biggity, not a bitty. But recently cobbled together a little audio generator and a small amp. Okay. I'll need to open that up. What's the rest of it? What's the magic?
Well, Steven wants to add a winch to the tilt-over tower so he can add a 2-meter, 70-meter beam.
All right, nice.
Very good.
I got a winch that's on mine, and it just it works for one, and it also gives that stability, a little bit of stability when it's connected and upright. So I've done that myself there.
Edwin wants to build the QRP at 40-80-meter transceiver. Excellent. That's a good spring project.
Good deal.
Working on the bench.
And a couple over here. Pastor Joe. Let's see. Very long power strip. Widely spaced outlets
those
arrives.
Are good. Yeah.
Need those. Change out my transition line.
Get a couple of them.
Yeah, good to
change out
have.
transmission. Yeah, I've been hearing guys talking about on one of our local 2-meter repeaters here. Well, here in Eastern Washington, they're talking about changing out feed lines from the winter. One basically sized up. I guess he was using either 50, I think it was 58 for his HF antenna, and then he now finally replaced it with RG8. So another good time to go out there and for the outside. I mean, today we were talking about inside the shack, but yeah, your feed lines and even looking at your jumpers that go from your antenna switch to your radios, and so those are another options that you can look into and spring cleanup, and remember to label.
For sure.
They'll save you time in the end.
For sure. There was a question in the chat about the fallout. The fallout will be in June, usually the second week of June. So we can check on the website, 100 Watts in a Wire, and find out a little more about that. I need to get cracking on that. I haven't really done too much.
You mean the spring tune-up?
The spring tune-up. What did I say? The fallout. Oh, yeah.
Fallout. I'm like, did we move the fallout?
Yeah, I don't know what I'm talking about anymore. I don't know what's happening anymore.
Yeah, we have spring tune-up coming up. Just so, yeah, we got to start talking about that and get ready for, June. Okay. Just before field day.
Edwin says he may need some help, Steve. I don't know what he needs help with, but it's going to cost you at least one of those apple things that they make. They make all these great apple dishes there in near Amsterdam, the Netherlands. Good grief! I'm bartering for you. I just need a small percentage of the pie, literally.
There you go.
So each week we collect your questions. Sometimes they arrive in the chat. Sometimes they come through email or Facebook, social media posts like that. Steve does not like to see those questions in advance, but. So we will do our best to answer these on the fly. A good variety this week. I'll just take the top few here since we got a little long in it, and I'd had to dance around the 2 stories thing. That was weird, but what are you going to do? All right, we got a question.
It is what it is.
It is what it is. My hex beam is just under my roof line. HOA situation. Do you think I'll be able to make contacts?
Yes. You will make contacts. I've chatted with guys that had 80-meter dipoles on their fence, just a wooden fence, and they just stay basically attached to the top of the wooden fence, so 5-6 feet off the ground, and they were in Arizona, New Mexico. So yes, you'll be able to make contacts with your hex beam below the roof line. So go out. Have fun.
Yeah, just do it. Just
work the
do
bands.
it.
Just do it.
You'll
be surprised where you'll be able to work.
I had an early Elmer who had a hex beam, but it was sort of I think it was like a homemade one. He may have purchased it from somewhere, but he had a pole that he could go out there and sort of turn it himself. Like he went right out back, and he had an HOA. And he couldn't go any higher than a certain port, like the pitch of the roof. And so, he had ended up working tons of things, but he had a bit of a null where he would turn it a certain way and it was kind of hitting the house, that sort of deal.
Oh, okay.
But there was a 180, wide open 180, and he made contacts. He never complained about it, but he was in an HOA type of situation like that. But I remember putting mine up. And just putting it on this little roof, because they're so, they're wide. It's for 20 meters, and it's about 20 feet wide. And I had it sitting on one of these deals you put like a television antenna on your roof. So it's a little tripod, not very high, a couple feet off the ground. And I sat it on top of this thing, just so it didn't blow around or, topple over. It gave it some stability at night, tied it off to a tree. Connected the coax to it because it was mid-install, so it was sitting down low because it wasn't ready to go up quite yet.
So what was it, 5-6 feet off the ground?
Not even. It was just, maybe. Let's just say it was 5.
I was kind of remember 3 feet for some reason. Yeah. I remember we were texting back and forth. I was like, do it.
This thing was tied to a tree. It was on a low tripod, and it was just there for the night. And I couldn't help myself. I couldn't turn it or anything, but I just... And I think I worked like Iceland or some weird thing. It was either like Norway, it was up north. And I was like, whoa, man, this is something. It's basically on the ground. So my advice is just to do it. Just do it and see.
Do it.
See if there is any knolls or anything like that. I mean, but who cares? Who cares?
Yeah.
I don't know.
Don't
what direction
overanalyze it. Just go out and do
get
it.
it up.
I mean, you got nothing to lose, and but a lot to gain. So you'll be fine.
Here we go. Here's another question. I saw a guy working maritime mobile with some portion of his antenna in the water. How does that work?
Basically, he was using the water as his counterpoise. So you stick a piece of wire and, what you're doing is just electrically connecting the water to your antenna system. And now you have this huge ground plane, and water, especially salt water, is a great equalizer. So also you'll see it people operating from the beach. So if they're out at the beach or the shore, depending on which coast you're on, and you set up a station there, you'll see guys run their just so if you have like a vertical setup, they'll take a piece of wire attached to the what would be the shield of the coax, and they'll run that out into the water and electrically connect the ocean to your antenna system. DXpeditions do it a lot too. When they're out on these islands, they'll set up right next to the water there and do the same thing. So
I think it's
that's
a
why
little.
the water.
It goes kind of against how we're wired. Pardon the pun. Is that
Exactly.
you don't want to put water and wires mixing.
Mm-hmm.
So maybe that's why this question is.
It gets confusing, but it's basically you're doing the ground side or the counterpoise side of your antenna system. So it's mainly you'll see it with verticals. So you'll have your vertical, and then instead of having your radials all laid out, you just take one wire from where your radials would go, and you just stick it out into the ocean or into the water, and now you're basically connecting that body of water to your antenna system electrically with that piece of wire.
Man, that's great. That's cool. Try it. I want to try it now.
Try it. You'll like it.
You'll like it. We're enablers. Stick it in the water.
Oh, yeah. Just stick it in the water. Just don't stick the vertical part in the water.
Right. Another question. I'm thinking about purchasing a used tower. What would be a safety red flag? You got the right man for this one.
Corrosion, cracks. If there was water in the tower legs and it froze and you got some cracks, but corrosion, you might not be able to get the full history of it. If I was looking at it, I would also take a flashlight and try to look inside the tower legs itself for corrosion. That's going to be the biggest thing. It will be pretty obvious if there's cracks in the tower legs, or there's the welds are pretty shoddy or broken or really corroded. I'd stay away from it. If your life is not worth it. I mean, tower sections are not that expensive in the big scheme of things. I mean, they're $150, I think, is for Roan 25 for 10-foot sections. So it and when you buy new, you don't have to worry about everything, and it's everything is fine. It's used. I know we try to be frugal, but that's one area you shouldn't cheap out. Towers and then safety gear when it comes to tower climbing and things like that. We like to cheap out on a lot of stuff, but that's one area we shouldn't. And but if it is fairly recent and the history of it, then go for it.
Yeah, I think you see sometimes, at least I have, and I may have even tried to contact you in the past about something like this, where a ham becomes a silent key. And if you're new to amateur radio, that's when a ham radio operator passes. We call them a silent key. And sometimes there's ways, the club may be the recipient of a donation on the behalf of this ham radio operator. And sometimes, and I know this for a fact, I think I've contacted you about, you can come take his tower, but you got to take down his antennas too. And, so it's sort of like this bargaining situation. And I didn't go for it. You know what I mean? I think I need more people around me, to take these things apart. But it's like, oh, it's free. A free tower? Yeah, I'll take it off your hands.
Yeah.
But then you may not know what you're getting into.
Exactly.
So good question.
It could be a lot of effort involved, and so it's a sticky situation.
It's sticky. When it comes to towers, I think you got to have somebody around you that knows, from the concrete, putting those things in and getting it in straight and right. And, for me, I'm going to need an Elmer around if I'm doing any sort of tower at any level. But that's just me. Let's do one more here before we wrap up today. I want an HF radio in my vehicle. Can you explain the difference between grounding and bonding? Those words get kind of used in concert sometimes, and I know there's some great resources out there.
They are. Bonding is a way to tie two panels together, which becomes part of your grounding, but and there's ways to bond, but you want to have good electrical connections between the panels and your frame, and you want to bond everything possible. Your hood to the body to the frame, your exhaust system to the frame. They're hanging usually by rubber hangers, like your exhaust system, and the only place they're attached electrically is going to be up at the engine, and then maybe through your O2 sensor too. But you want to get those bonded, and bonding is attaching two pieces of metal together. And so what I recommend, if you want to go in and put an HF rig, there's a great website, K0BG. It's he has a website that's dedicated for mobile installations, both HF and VHF. Very extensive amount of information in there. You could be on that site for days and not cover everything that man has. And I think it's K0BG, but just look for a Google search for mobile HF installations, and his site should come up. There's a lot of information in there and resources on that page that he goes in depth on with ground bonding, and he talks about it and why it's important. But so look at that.
Okay, that's good. All right, very well. Thank you. You can send your questions. You can put them in the chat now. Put a Q. We have a form there. I think we can. You can send them directly to us. We'll pick up all the questions as they come, and we'll answer them as best we can. Talking about towers, we put up a video that Steve did earlier in the week about the knots, the Prusik.
The Prusik.
Prusik.
The Prusik knot.
Prusik knot, which I've mastered. I can't even say it, but if you go on the channel, and we put it up yesterday, so it was Steve up on the tower talking about the Prusik knot and how he uses it. You may want to check out that video as well, and hopefully we'll do some more things from the tower as we go, but check that out. That's a new one there. Thank you for all the questions. Thank you for your patience as ground control is kind of like, is it like on the flight, hit a little turbulence there, but I appreciate that. And I find that hams especially have a great capacity for either patience or just, that's okay.
Rolling with it.
Yeah, I may get some salty emails from you sure one of them dumb son of a bitch, one of those, but that's normal. I'm kind of immune to those, but I appreciate that as we kind of navigate this. it's a next level for me software for doing the live streaming, because I love being in the stream and kind of keeping on the air and in the stream. Really is kind of my thing. I'm enjoying that. So to be able to do other things, bring other people in, it just takes a little bit of a learning curve. Tomorrow night we are on the air again and in the stream. I think tomorrow's Easter though, so Easter. I don't know if we'll have operators tomorrow. But Ian, I saw Ian post, so maybe Ian's going to run for the first hour. So we'll see. I don't know. I didn't talk to you about this. You're going to be there? Okay. Sometimes these holidays, see, I don't know. Sometimes the holidays become a thing like, okay, I need to now get away from you guys.
We're going to give you the excuse, like on Last Man Standing. You remember the episode where Kim went down into the
that's right,
the Thanksgiving, and he went down into the shack with Boyd, and so here's your excuse to
break
get
away
on the
for
radio.
a little bit. Yeah,
Join us on the 100 Watts and a Wire Sunday Night Net.
So we'll be there tomorrow, 7 o'clock Central. Go ahead and join us, and you'll be able to get all that information. But you can follow on NetLogger. You can also follow on the social media. We put all that stuff together for you. Appreciate everybody who stopped by in the chat. Hopefully we met some new people, and you had a good time through the turbulence. We landed. We're in paradise.
Yep.
We're in paradise. All right, Steve,
We're
have a
walking
great
away
day.
from the landing.
We're going to have, this will
you.
be a gardening day. This will be a big gardening day. I've got a lot of compost to move with the tractor, and got to get those blueberries covered, and the raspberries need to be covered. The beds have been sorted out and filled in, but today is going to be one of those nice days here. And
same here. We're going to fire up the gardening implements, the tractor, the garden tractor, and then the lawnmower, and doing some of that. Then got to run down to the fire station and clean up a couple of rigs from this week. We've been pretty busy, so
all right.
So it's going to be a fun-filled day.
Off you go, friends. All right, we will say 73 for now. Look out for each other and yourself, and by all means, if you can, please try and stay above the noise. 7-3, guys.
7-3, everyone.
To join the 100 Watts and a Wire community, visit 100wattsandawire.com.